Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. People all across the world are seen over here. And today we are at TRIZAsia. Very much delighted to again have Mr. Simon Dewulf with you all. And Dr. Dewulf is basically doing the second time TRIZtalks. On the 20th chapter, he was there. And he gave some very insightful information on how patent inspiration can be used for like having more and more inventive ideas as well as substantiation of these ideas. And today he'll be giving a live demo on his own developed patent inspiration and profile. So without taking much of the time, I would directly hand over the session to Dr. Simon. Simon, please start with your presentation and later with the live demo. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for joining the session. Since this is a live demo session, I would like to know if there's any special interest of people on because I don't have a topic, but there's any areas of technology or products that you will be interested in for the demo session? Anybody?
That is rather a great opportunity. So audience, like if you can have any kind of thing in your mind, you can get a very good idea, very good insights from the software of Dr. Simon. Please go ahead. You can unmute your mics and you can speak. Else you can also use the chat box.
Yes, correct.
Anyone?
Sandeep sir, Harsha here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Sure, sure.
Yes, please.
Dr. Simon. Yeah. I think good afternoon or good morning to you. Myself, Harsha Gangan. So on this point, just struck to me, if you can guide or through your software. See, in the recent past and even in today's scenario, we are seeing that disruptions are quite frequent in every scenario. Business scenarios, whatever you plan, you make a business plan or strategic plan for say a couple of years ahead, and then suddenly within years time or 2 years time, situation changes and you need to rethink what you have planned or you have to change your strategy. So handling and those you can say disruptions were not so frequent. If we just look 10 years back, the speed of change is quite significant. So how do we address those things through such models of sensitivities or whatever, and applying the TRIZ methodology as well? Maybe it is little scattered points, but if you can just the key point is that handling the disruptions which are quite often.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. And what technology would you base start from? Looking at those changes.
Sorry, I missed out the last sentence.
From which base? So you were saying, of course, we are looking for what can we see in trends or things that happen in the past.
We can say engineering field or even the financial markets, anything. I mean.
And in engineering, would there be a topic you would like me to look at? Like,
not in particular. You may advise, or you can share what from your.
Ideally, I suppose Simon is looking for some product that would help him out. Am I right, Simon?
Okay.
Yeah,
Mr. Amit. But I take your points on board, and I will address them during the presentation. I see maybe Amit has a topic. Amit Markan has his hands up.
Yep. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and good morning and probably good evening. So my current industry is from home appliance. I'm working with Whirlpool Corporation. So we, as mentioned, by Harsha, that trends are changing very fast, and I think in home appliance also things are very fast moving, and when the market become a globalization. So earlier we used to have a refrigerator and a laundry product. Now we are looking for a dishwasher and other cooking appliances. So if you can utilize something on that industry, that will also helpful. Another thing, the rapid thing which I see from the automotive side, from the commercial engine to the EV and other alternate fuels, how we can see the innovation or how we can utilize the TRIZ in these two industry. If you can enlighten on these two industry, that will be helpful.
Very good. Would I go for a refrigerator or cooling refrigerator or a compressor or anything like that, Amit? Would that be good? Okay, very good. All right. So two things. So looking at a certain area of home appliance, and you're starting with, I was saying the company Whirlpool, I think we were mentioning.
Yep.
And then secondly, how also do we look into areas, what's going on, what are technologies, how do they change, what are trends and things like that. So I think these two things I will try and address. I'll stop my video for bandwidth and share the screen. So then screen. Okay. So starting with the software. So the first thing that you have, so the data that you can get out of a patent database, and this is one of the largest collections of patent data. It's the data provided by Questel and EPO combined. Now, is that you will get trends in technology fields, market trends will be reflected in technology patents, but will not really you won't really see a change in the actual market data, but you can see it in technology data. Now, first thing you were saying, appliances, home refrigerator, was that one area you wanted to go in?
Yes.
Refrigerator. So that's a Friday night spell mistake here. Refrigerator, there we go. Let's have a look at what that would give. Yeah, must be a mistake there in my spelling. Here we go, better. In title and abstract. So the first thing I do is I look at a keyword where I'm trying to make my pool of patents, and I put refrigerator in title and abstract. I see I have about 1,000 patents, which is a very large pool. So I can actually make it even smaller by saying, show me refrigerator in only title, and I will have only the patents talking about refrigerator in title. Even still having 300,000, there could be something special in refrigerator. I could talk about, for example, its compressor or anything like that. If I want to go in a smaller group, or I could say, show me only one per patent, which is giving me, instead of 300, still 250. And if I am only interested in, say, for example, the last 10 years, I could also say, give me the last 10 years of what has happened since, and it's still big. So let me say, I will go for the last 5 years. Now, is there anything specific in the refrigerator domain that you would look at, Amit, just to make it a bit smaller? Because I still have 80,000 patents about refrigerators.
Or maybe now, if we see is a more energy saving refrigerator or something like that, which consume less energy.
Okay, I will see if I can find refrigerator patents that talk about energy in general in their title and abstract, whether it's a different energy, a green energy, or anything like that. So what I have is about 8,000 patents in that area. I could even, just to make the trend lines a bit more significant, did I go for 10? I think so. Yeah. 10 years. So that could be my first. The first, I mean, now it seems like we have enough data. But sometimes it might be that you're looking for what is the right word, because you could say fridge or refrigerator. So one first thing that we allow in the tool is to be able to refrigerator, to put the keyword here. What are the closest words to refrigerator in patents? So what happens is often you have like freezer, refrigerator, evaporator, food storing method, all these words, or basically all the words that are related to refrigerator. That can help for any word. I mean, sometimes, I mean, I'm using it, say, if I want to have antimicrobial, imagine you want an antimicrobial surface, antimicrobial. I think, Hugo, your microphone is on. Maybe the moderator, Sandeep, you can switch it off. So if you look, for example, antimicrobial as a word, it's not easy to know that bioacidic means the, or antifungal or bactericidal. So this type of wording actually helps you, or this type of tool helps you to widen your search words. Sometimes even if you look into an area, like imagine you look into mineral exploration here, and you find a little bit what are the words connected to mineral exploration. You will find, of course, the words in domain, but you will also sometimes find things like here precision agriculture. And precision agriculture and mineral exploration is quite close to each other. Why? Because the technologies related in that field are quite close. And that's quite interesting that you can actually find them through related terms. But imagine that we are happy and energy as our keywords. I think it's a double actually way to go. We basically still have 17,000 patent documents or patent families. So it is then up to us to see how we can visualize these terms. I mean, one thing you can do is you can start reading them, but if it's 17,000, I think that will be a bit of a challenge. But you can go one by one through the patents here and click on the patents and then finding out what's the detail of the patent in which you have energy mentioned, energy consumption here. You have refrigeration, and you have basically your drawings, your system description. And then one here you have a similar, and in similar, what it does is it will try and find, if it finds, because in this one it didn't, but it will try and find, oh, these are too early. So it has to run, find what are similar patents to your patent. So I'll come back to that when there is a bit of older patents, because it takes about a few months before they find the similar. But the main thing is we talk about how to find trends, how to find technologies, how to find changes in there, just like we said in this Profan or TRIZ method. So what did we design? We designed a suite of visualization tools so that you can slice and dice this data in a way that you have to read it all. So one thing you can do is, of course, look at what are the usual things, like where are these companies, what are their granted ratios, what are their players. So simple things like that, you can see, okay, if we talk about energy and refrigerator, and we want to know what are patents here that are, for example, in Australia, you will quickly go where in Australia somebody's talking about refrigerator and energy and refrigerant. So your keywords. You can see what are the main companies active in these, and some of them actually are users of our software, like here, some of the in highlight. But basically, this is a word cloud. It means the bigger the word in any visualization, the more patterns behind it. And sometimes they're the same. So you could say, I can put them together. And the idea is if you click on any of those, like GRE here, electric, you get a list of their patents mentioning refrigerator and energy or energy saving. Now, same with granted ratio, it just gives you an amount, how many patents do they get and how many are granted. So you can always have a look at the patents from the biggest players all the way down. There is always a little legend in which you can choose if you want to see one or not, or if you want to see some of the smaller players here. Sorry, or not. So that's the basic stuff. Timelines, you give you an activity over time. It can be interesting if you want to see trend lines. For example, if you want to see if there's anything going on in time on, for example, artificial intelligence. Now, the first thing you can do is you can do a text pattern and you can say to yourself, well, I want to see if there's anything related to artificial intelligence. Is that a trend? Now, artificial intelligence, as we said, it's maybe many other words. Artificial intelligence, I could search for words that are similar to artificial intelligence. Like example here, expert systems, neural networks, any things like that, knowledge engineer, machine learning, and so on. So I click on those, I add them, and then so IoT, Internet of Things, a new term, and see in the patterns if they arrive. All right, meanwhile, I see I have here some things already. So what did I ask? I ask, is an activity here in the rise? Energy and fridges is in the rise. And on the applicants, I can see that there is a general increase, but I can actually choose to see it in a bubble wrap. And then what you see is basically a trend line of the players. For example, do they take more patents over the years here per year, for example, and you can click on any of those, they are live. So you can actually then find out what are the patents of that player in the area of refrigeration and cooling. Now I asked for a text pattern on IoT. So what did or artificial intelligence. So this is where you can say, I can use certain words because you can use GPT and say, what are the latest trends, for example, in refrigeration and energy? And you'll get a list of words. Now, the problem with as we all know, is that 80% is correct, but we don't know really which 80%. What we can do is, if you harvest these words from GPT and then you put them into a patent document, inspiration or any other patent tool, you can actually validate or curate that information of saying, is it really true? Is there a rise in artificial intelligence and fridges and energy? And you see, for example, here that there is a rise here in 2022. You have here 22 or 23 patents that all talk about somewhere in their patent, they talk about artificial intelligence in here. For example, here, module in this later developed artificial intelligence, fuzzy logic, and so on. So you can see that this trend of these words arrive. So this means that any kind of trends that you can harvest in other data sources, you can again look into patents and find out, do they actually happen, and how, in which way do they happen? And can you see, for example, here, machine learning, show me, for example, these patterns, and you will see refrigerator behavior and control method and based on machine learning. Well, that's now one, but it can be on any kind of topic. Now, you can also compare things, like you could say, for example, which companies are actually working with which universities. Or you could say, which companies are actually mentioning all this AI stuff. Again, you could see my AI stuff was artificial intelligence. And then you could just choose your machine learning, intelligent systems, and so on, and find out which companies actually mention which technologies. Because now it's AI, but it could be any technology. So the first thing I asked was, what companies are working with what universities? That could also be interesting to see, for example, which companies are working together with what academic research, and what are these people doing now? Because even there, you see that the reflection of working with a research institute could be interesting to see what is this research institute actually doing. Same here, I'm looking at what companies are actually mentioning, for example, artificial intelligence, some fuzzy logic, and so on. So if it's a bit too busy, you can always make a word map. You can also add all the ones, because you only show the ones which are smaller, but the more you add, the more you can actually specify your visualization on who is actually active in this case, AI tools. These are some basic ones. After you can comparing, you can do it with anything. Then you can start to map things. Now, mapping could be interesting to say, I would like to see a competitor of a certain company. Imagine that you're watching, let me take one that does a lot of things, Panasonic, because Panasonic, they're doing much more than fridges. So I could say, show me where Panasonic or even Hisense here, Hisense, who are the competitors of Hisense? But I want to know the competitor of energy and fridges, nothing else. So the patterns in their filter. So I can ask that. I can also ask some mapping tools here of what's going on. Now, this is quite interesting also on the first question. If we really want to know what's going on in the field, let me see when the mapping is ready. You can first of all see what type of patents are in this pool of refrigerator and energy. They go about special furniture in vehicles also, in rotary pistons and in motors, in adaptations for heating. These are all areas. And this map can be interesting, especially when you enter, for example, with a problem. If you want to say, I'm trying to cool with not at cost of energy usage or something like that, whatever conflict, you can find out where, in which domains are they actually trying to solve your problem. But here we are in a specific domain, refrigerators and energy. So what you can do also is landscape. Basically, all these patterns are in a classification, which is called a CPC or a cooperative pattern classification. And in there, you can go in detail, where are they? Is this about greenhouses, where this is an area where it's about surfaces? This is about data information. And so what you see here is in comparison to other landscaping tools, this is really a 500 by 500 matrix showing you all the classifications of patterns. So whenever you make that map again, it will be exactly the same map, different to some of the other landscaping tools. But here you could say, if I am that player, which is a certain applicant, and I want to see where is, I'll have to let it look, here we go. I am a player and I am, for example, what was it, the Hisense we looked at? Yeah, Hisense here. And I want to see my competitor is of GRI appliance. What you can see here, and maybe another one, let me see, another one, applicant. I don't know these names. Amidia, yeah, we know them. So basically what you can see in this map is you visualize where you are as Hisense, for example. You're here, one pattern here in red, where Midea is and where GRI is. Now, what could be interesting is that if you see that a trend of a technology goes a certain place into a different, you see here, for example, and you could visualize and see what did they patent here in this data embodiment user parts. You can have a look and see how, for example, competing companies are going into different CPC classes or into different technology areas. That's how you basically could see if there is a kind of signal there that they are going into another area of development. Now, this you can see, but at the same time, we could say here, let us see where they talked about artificial intelligence, for example, in title, abstract, claims, or description, for example. And then you can also, of course, then see here topics where they're talking about certain topics. So anything you want to visualize, because always is not so easy to make a visualization where you see everything. But since the patterns already gave us this classification code system, it's for us very easy to build on that a visualization to say, this is where they are. Because some classification codes can be very interesting even for innovation. I remember a case where we looked at a tire business and the company said, we're trying to cut tires in a certain way, and we found their classification was cutting elastomeric materials. But the thing is, this is what we call an open innovation kind of classification, because in that classification, there was tires being cut, but there was also cheese being cut. And there was machines for that, because also cheese is an elastomeric material. And then, of course, it's very easy to have a look at all these technologies which are in there and see which ones would apply, for example, onto the problem at hand in the tire business. So, but this is one thing that you can do. Once you map there and you visualize that there's a new area of interest, you can just say, show me that area, and you go in detail to find the patterns which are behind or in that area, talking about, again, energy and refrigerant consumption. So these are just mappings. In the same way, you could see if there's different elements, you know, cooling elements could be a problem. Here, I remember here, this GD or geranium is a difficult one used for magnetic cooling. Can you choose other elements? So here you can see a little bit, again, an existing map, Mendeleev, but then you have the number here, how many are talking, for example, about copper, 1,400 patents, of course, copper here, big. You just click on that and you find all the ones that talk about a certain element within their refrigerating system, which in this case is copper being mentioned here, aluminium or copper in there. So it's always about finding a visualization which is quick and dirty on top level, and then you can go into detail, but you can choose where you look, because deciding where to look is really deciding how important it is, because now I'm looking at abstract and description, but imagine I only look in title and abstract for elements. It means I will find patterns that really talk about that element by changing something or something in their summary, being the title or the abstract. Then you can actually find a completely new map. And that's in many ways, see here, iterative, because now if I look into the copper patterns, they're all in their title or abstract, mentioning something about having done a new invention related to copper, pipe, column, pipe, bar, and so on. And here as well, in the main part of the patent, it will be there. So that's another way that you can easily find different results. Same with fields. I could say, what is the way now? Are they using ultrasound or magnetics? But here I'm looking very wide. I could say, show me, for example, where only in title abstract or root claims, which are like the main claims in a patent, do they actually talk about a different technology usage? Now, again, if I see that over time, and I can see that new kind of technologies are entering the refrigeration domain, I could actually visualize this here also per player and try and find out which player is actually using, for example, which field or which technology. So that's generating. Let's give it a second. Here we are. So now I could say, show me which patterns talk about ultrasound or ultrasonic or all these here that are, is there a trend in ultrasonic assisted freezing equipment or ultrasonic treatment? So again, there you could then decide, if I want to see this as a trend, is there something in this technology that evolves fast over time? I could again make a timeline and say, I go back there and I want to see anything ultrasonic. So I go and I say, give me a timeline of a certain text pattern. And what I want to see is, for example, ultrasonic star anything. Ultrasonic, let me ask noun in title abstract claims over time. And you basically evaluate if that is something that is coming up. So as long as, and we are still not at my favorite part, but as long as we are having some kind of idea of what we are looking for, we discover things, we go back to the, there is no results here. That is very strange. Did I do something wrong? Ultra, yeah, that's probably why. So I did a little spell here, ultra, that will be better. As long as I can translate it into either a text pattern or a visualization, I can draw out the research. So having a background in TRIZ is very good because you can start to know the patterns TRIZ make, and you can. And here you see There's a lot of ultrasonic stuff. And if I see over time here, waves, generators, transducers, and I can choose what I think is important or not if I don't like waves, but I do like, for example, here, ultrasonic power or sensors. You can see how that trend or that heat map fills in with all the types of ultrasonic somethings in there. After those maps, I think we've done pretty good. I see here not that much comes out because also there was a very few patterns of high sense, but at least the closest to the patterns there were here in the group was here higher, and then Bauknecht, which is German probably, and this, however you pronounce Qingdao, as competitors. It is quite powerful to be able to see competitors of a certain company in a certain technology, because competitors of your client could be new clients, and competitors of your supplier could be new or bigger or cheaper suppliers. Let me do it with a bigger company. Imagine you do it here for GRI and then some more patents and see what comes out as a list of competition. Now, my favorite part is text analysis. Why text analysis? Text analysis allows you to do almost anything in a TRIZ mindset. So I will add a few things here to start, say glossary, or I could do what are the main trademarks, but I can also ask what are the main problems, and I can ask, say, give me a bit of the nouns to see what they're working on mostly. So first thing is abbreviations. It's a small thing, abbreviation, but sometimes it's a reflection of what are the technologies which are in there. Because abbreviations, like here, ASIC, Application Specific Integrated Circuit, 107, whereas here, Central Processing Unit. Sometimes it's technologies, sometimes it's materials. Here you see PVDF. This is polyvinylidene fluoride. This is a material. But one that we skipped here before is you can actually already get a list of all the materials and see what are the main materials in your patents on energy and refrigeration. And here you see another way of seeing that list. And then if you talk about this, for example, this polyfluor or Teflon, you immediately get where in the patents they are mentioning these materials. So a quick scan, finding basically the information which is in there. Now, PDFE is also Teflon, known as Teflon. So you could say this is another way of going in it. This is just asking what are the main trademarks which are present in my patent pool. Again, you could say which trademark is actually from which company. I think reference here is a bit of a weird trademark, so we'll take that out. Asking for problems is what are the main problems. We talk about leakage problem, energy consumption problem, safety problems. This is just top 50, noise problem. But in that way, you could focus and say, where do you want to work on? Do you want to work on noise problem? Okay, so let's have a look where we were with the noise problem. Here you have a list of patents that already work on noise problems. So in any of those, you will have a mention of noise problem is avoided or endorsed. So to find the problems, this is a algorithm that does it, but you could also just think of saying, give me all the problems by making a text pattern and saying noun problem, for example. And if I choose only in title, abstract, and claims and not in description, I might find, oh, maybe in description, why not? I might find them here. Yes, Amit, I see that
Hey,
you're
Simon,
ready.
I think I'm not able to see if you're presenting some different window. What I am seeing is a problem only, or you're showcasing something different.
Oh,
Amit,
can
we
you
are able to
see?
see it.
Okay,
Please check, Amit.
okay.
WebEx may it
Sorry,
comes,
Amit.
it happens sometime. There would be another window because we can see it.
Thanks for letting me know, Amit. But normally it has
Now
a
I
bit of a
can.
delay.
Okay.
Now I can.
Okay, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I've used the text pattern noun problem and get here out of all these different type of problems. For example, consumption, schedule, leakage, by asking that text pattern. Now we could say, for example, what type of technology? Is there any? Again, we could use noun technology or verb like cooling technology. So as long as you have a pattern for it, you can start asking for it. You could say, is there any ISO norms that I have to know about? IEC number or ISO number. These are other things. So you can also ask for numbers. But the main thing is in TRIZ terms, so we have our problems here, we have some of the technologies here. They're talking about cooling, of course, background technology, these things you can take out, but at least you have a list of some of the technologies they talk about. But then you can say, okay, actually, I want to know here IEC, these are some standards. These standards that are followed, and soon also we'll have the actual standards in there, but here you see patterns that follow a certain standard. Standards is actually also a source of information to later find what is these standards and can they help me to develop my system? Or is there a new standard that I should follow compliance-wise? Now, but if I look at what I've asked for nouns here, I see that I have a lot of energy, refrigeration, some doors there, some fan. What can I choose? I can choose any of these components. Imagine I'm designing a new fan and I want to know what type of fans are there. So what I can do is trying to find what are the properties of the fan. Now, properties are in adjectives. That's a big clue in translating it in Profund. Property, adjective, and then fan. Now, if I look for property fan, I find what type of fans are there. If I would like what the fan is actually context-wise, I would ask for noun fan. And if I want to know what the fan is doing, I could say, what is the verb that is connected to the word fan, or having the main sentences in fan? Now, I can do the same with energy, because energy, it was asking me, for example, text pattern, and I could say noun, energy, or energy, noun, just as an example, to take some things out. So, and then maybe one more in the area of increasing or decreasing. What are they trying to do easy from convenience? Easy to verb, for example. They're trying to make that easier. What are they trying to make easier? What are the main costs? Noun, costs. And who's working on them? What are they trying to decrease in this? Decrease, noun. So all I'm doing is just putting in formulas of what I know in TRIZ terms, like is it something free? If it's freon free, ends with free or with less, anything like that. So by doing that, what do I get? And again, all I do now here, I can also do over time. The first thing I could say, the fans, I have axial fan. I have burst fan, I have to do out, but you have indoor, draught, electric fan, condenser fan. It shows you a little bit the adjectives in front of fan. Of course, there is some noise in here because it's a lot of like new, but you have micro fan, if you work pneumatic fan, if you work on fans in general, it will be interesting to see what are all the variations in terms of adjectives and also in terms of nouns, because in nouns you see circulation fan, radiation fan, blower fan. These are all the kind of fans. And if you have invented a new type of fan, you will have to, if you patent it, use a flexible fan, a double fan. It's a variable fan. It's a radiator fan, suction fan. So these ones will express in words that you can here see in your word cloud. And if I ask what the fan is mainly doing, of course, it's probably refrigerating, but it's also defrosting, compressing, freezing, frosting, valving, throttling. These are all words connected to fan, which are verbs and therefore are actions that you can see. So again, you can evaluate that. We did the same with noun energy, and it talks about energy efficiency, savior, utilization, waste, heat energy, how you use that. So you can basically play around. If you say this is about energy and I'm looking for systems where they're talking about, for example, efficiency energy or energy absorption, you can find immediately where the patterns actually discuss that. Or you could say, I would like to see how they are decreasing things. This was just looking into decreasing the temperature, mainly the speed, the manner, the control. So it shows a little bit what they are decreasing. Or in terms of twist trends, and you say trimming, we're talking about colorless or stainless. It's of course stain. Harmless, yeah, that's not so good. Wireless is one system. Windless, meaningless is meaningless here. Dimensionless, countless. So I'm just asking for terms, noiseless, and I could say noiseless is interesting. Which ones are talking about noiseless? If I'm working on noise, for example, and I get all this noiseless refrigeration and heating integrated device. So that could connect to where I had my problem on noise before. So with text analysis, it really is up to you how you want to find it. If you say, I want to see what type of industries are in my filter, I could again say, give me, for example, noun industry. And that could be interesting when you're looking at a certain area where you say, for example, you're looking at the way cooling. I could say what type of cooling is here. And I say adjective cooling. I'll put them together this time and find if there's other ways of cooling which are more interesting. So I see that my patterns are mainly, of course, in the refrigeration industry, but there is some in the automotive industry, breeding industry, logistics industry. So it gives you a little bit of an overview of where do people actually mention in their patterns on the refrigerator certain other industries that I might either be interested in to look at or even to move into with my technology. Adjective cooling and non-cooling would give you some of the cooling ways. So air cooling, evaporative cooling, you could say I'm using a certain cooling, but I want to see if there's any new ways of cooling where they talk about. And here, for example, you could say, next to a liquid, natural, rapid pump, and so on, you could also have things like, let me have a look if there is any, there's no magnetic cooling. Interesting to see. There's a bit of magnetic cooling, not much here, but you see, for example, here, magnetic cooling and see who are the players and what are they doing based on here, magnetic cooling. So text analysis, as I said, anything is possible. Any question you have on a certain area, a trend, you can actually use text analysis. And even with twist trends, and you say, I want to see what kind of effects, if I made a list of all the effects, I could say, show me where in my pattern pool here, these effects are present. It's a bit like the function database. Because the interesting part is not only to see what the people are doing, where the people are using the certain effects, but you can also see which effects are not used yet or which areas could actually be our technology using in the area of refrigeration and energy, for example. So in that way, you can customize your own templates. These templates then basically become your list of keywords that you're looking for, wherever you took them from GPT or any other trend analysis. And then you can use them in other areas, in other patent reports. So it's just making them, it's quite a heavy one. Let them do that research. Meanwhile, I can go to units, because at the end of the day, everything gets measured and gets done, they say, and you're trying to find what kind of temperature, pressure, size, power, any type of unit you're looking at. You're looking at the volume flow rate in, for example, liters per hour. So what you do is these parameters you basically first have a look at what are the main units in this area. We're talking about size, time, power, voltage, and so on. And then you can decide where, in which area you want to see, for example, where they're talking about 100 to 1,000 bar pressure. And you'll find all the patents that in their patent actually mention pressure of here in Psi or PSI or kilopascal. This is all converted to the actual range that you're looking at. So sometimes you need a certain volume flow rate. I didn't even know this was a unit where you can go and say this is in liters per hour. And the refrigerator is actually mentioning a certain volume flow rate here of 10.39 cubics per second as your turbine inlet. So to slice and dice your data in a certain unit could help you if you need a certain viscosity or power or any of those, they can just take them out like that. And then finally, what you go closest to the TRIZ methodology, I would say, you're also able to start and say, I want to see more than one keyword. We talked about magnetic, but we also talk about energy saving. And we talked about, say, cooling and freezer and freezing maybe as well, and power. And so I just make a list of words and then I look for title and abstract, for example, in my filtered results to find out, because sometimes you're looking for a whole pool of patents and you have a lot of keywords, but you want to know exactly which patents actually, and I'll open a few more things here, and here we'll work on, sorry, here we work on fan, for example, update, and make that one. So what do I get with this combination analysis is that I combine and find out in my keywords what I require or see or trend. I see magnetic and energy saving, cooling and freezer and so on. I see that all these terms, except for freezing, in title and abstract, I have a patent that has all of them. I could actually ask for not only title and abstract, also for claims and description, depending a little bit where you're looking for the data. Like if it's for a problem, you go for description, solution, and go for claims. Summary, you go into probably title and abstract. But it will then open exactly the patent that has these specific keywords that you were looking for. A bit slower than usual here. Let me let it rest a bit. Meanwhile, I'll show you oh no, let's wait. So look. Combination analysis is actually also a very good one to find to something, because if you can define the technology you're looking for, here we go. If you can define the technology you're looking for in a set of 10, 20 words, and then you find all the patterns that have actually either all of these words or a little bit less of these words, you can see which combinations they have and where they are closest to a prior art. Or even if you want to find another area to use your technology in another area. So you can also find new markets. You say, this is my technology, but I'm looking for other areas of products or things that I can do with my technology. As you were saying, it's all very quickly changing. And one example was a case study we did in a company called MGO, which was making, at the time, they were making glass tubes for the market of the TL lights. As you may remember, these lights, which are just one long stripe of fluorescent light. And that market was growing. And they said, yeah, well, we're having 300 people and a whole company of full of technology. What can we do with the same people and the same technology, but in a completely new market? And then you can use, if you define your technology of how to make glass tubes, you could find out in which other areas do they need that. And there was things like test tubes or medical area ampoules for medical, or even solar collectors. And at the end, they thought, okay, we'll move from that lights to solar collectors, and continued their business, but in a completely different market, with a completely different product, with the same technology and the same people. So here you see as an example where all your keywords were basically present from your combination analysis. If you do, because I've asked to find these hit words in my filter, but if I would try and find it in everything but not my filter, what I will then find is where in the rest of the world is there anything interesting that talks about my words. Now, why is that interesting? Because you could actually look at a technology in a certain field and then find out which other areas need my technology or have some solutions to my problems as well. So that's also a very good one for open innovation kind of mapping. I've also asked a modifier analysis where you can see in your filter what's going on here. They're trying to increase, decrease, or stabilize what they say. Mainly, they talk about an efficiency increase here and heat exchange efficiency and so on. They are trying to decrease the cost and the consumption here and the noise. So again, we have another way to look into the noise. Here there is 300 patents talking about how to decrease the noise. So about noise reduction. Just by looking at what are the modifiers here. They're trying to stabilize, for example, the pressure. And you can see which patterns are talking about stabilizing pressure. In that way, you can take out, for example, here, a patent which talks about stabilization of pressure, here maintaining the pressure or stabilizing the pressure. So that's the kind of way of looking into trends. In the same way, you could look at the value equation. If you want to make the product of tomorrow, will it be a product which is higher performant, better cooling? Is it less harmful, more environmental friendly? Is it easier to use, easy to freeze, easy to defrost, easy to realize, operate, any of those? And self, as we know, is a big thing in TRIZ. So is it a self, cleaning, self, and so on? Or is it one that works mainly on energy consumption, what we had here a lot, or power consumption? So again, here, you just click on something and say, where do they talk again about noise? And we have our same patents here, 325. But we could say, well, we want to work on, instead of noise-free, we want to work one which is, for example, maintenance-free. And say, where do we talk about maintenance-free? And we find these maintenance-free patent here that talks about maintenance-free property in their patent. So again, slicing and dicing the data in terms of values here. If we talk about more benefit over cost and harm, or we talk about performance, reliability, convenience, price, whatever your value equation is, it's about more good things, less bad things, easier or cheaper. And I remember we asked for easy. We asked in this word patterns, easy to verb. And what do they get? Easy to control, easy to generate, easy to damage. See, you also have the negative ones. Easy to break, these are negative. You could say, hey, I have to color the ones that are negative red, for example. And that's the ones which we talk about, fall and break and so on. But the ones that I like, and I say I'm working on, for example, the blue ones, which is easy to install, easy to operate, easy to control, and so on. So you can immediately find, if you want to then work on a system that is easier to install, show me already who's claiming systems that are easy to install. Again, you go in there and you find where they mention, for example, easy to install here twice as a system. So it's really about, with your knowledge of TRIZ or innovation methodologies, can you quickly classify all this data? We have 17,000 patents into areas that you're interested in or that you want to look for. Just like we could say, this is reliability. What are all the illities here that they talk about? Even as simple as that, say illity. Sorry, that works on purity, reliability, and so on. Or we talked about self. If we talk about self here, there's even one here that is automated, so that you have all the self systems. I see that my fan here was very little. Why is that? Because I probably, oh yeah, I shouldn't have used the term next to, I should say same sentence. Oh. Oh, it's toy still, that's why. Fan, there we go, update. I'll have a look at that. Meanwhile, my utilities are kind of ready, so it's about adaptability and flexibility and utility and reliability. So here you have many utility words if you want to. But just to show you that anything you can think of that you want to visualize in data, you can actually take it either in a word cloud or over time like that. We also have a bit of a patent value where we look at what is the highest value patents in there in terms of forward citation. If they have a lot of forward citation, they're quite recent and have a big family size. We basically consider the patent a high value. You can actually look into the citation play in where you can see, can you here have some forward. See that a lot of companies or universities here are actually citing this patent. So you can also navigate through citation that gives you a way to see where patents go towards. I see myself is ready as well. If I say self-circulating, self-cleaning, self-locking, these are just top 50, but you can see there's a lot of auto or self in this area where you could say, I'm interested in where they're talking about self-heating or self-cooling or self-learning. You just click on them and find these directions. So that's been the idea of the patent system here, is to be able to have a strong text pattern if you know really what you're looking for as problems, solutions, standards, and so on. And then have some ready-made, like we have here in the fan. We see that liquid and gas, of course, gas will be connected. The shape of the fan changes a lot. Here, pulsation, there are some pulsed fans there. So you can see a little bit the directions of where the fan is making most changes over time, a little bit like trends, you would say, of, you know, is it state, is it pulsation, is it information, automation, symmetry, smell, and so on in the patents. So within that, you can then, of course, export data, import data, put it on slides. This is all the usual stuff, alerts if there's new things coming. But if I go back maybe to the first two questions I had, so I would say for finding trends and directions or new players, I think this map would help you a lot. You could also look into new codes or any kind of pattern over time. So if you have a certain trend that you want to see, and then you want to see, for example, where does that trend actually correlate with reality and patterns here, like artificial intelligence, then we can actually use that for finding what trends are actually validated by patents or not. If it's about looking for new technologies that arise, again, things like here, the technology, the fields can help you to identify where people are talking about now different kind of ultrasound or vacuum technologies or so on. Or even here in a map where you can see if it's are gained by these players into new areas of technology where they would be present. Most of the time, what you can do with it is when you enter with a certain problem and you say, I am trying to solve a problem of how to get faster cooling or less noise or anything like that. And then you can look into areas of industries where they're actually solving your problem. So for problem solving, it's something that we use very often. Innovation is more like looking where you are at, where your competitors are, and where you could still go. And then the one for finding new applications, so just putting in, for example, in this combination analysis, what is the definition of your technology? And then finding out what are all these patterns that talk about the need for your technology. You can actually find new markets for what you're looking for. So I think this is about the time we wanted for the demonstration. If I can take any questions, thank you for your attention so far.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. Dear participants, feel free to ask whatever questions you have in your mind.
Or the chat, if otherwise, or any comments.
I think this is very powerful tool. When we are looking for different patent and how we can came to know the trend, which year, what is the new technology going on. I think the point which I had, you covered very well. Maybe this is first time I'm attending this discussion. Not sure how I can get more hands-on or get more detail of it. Maybe will touch with you again for more details in coming time. Maybe I will stay in connect with
Yes,
Sandeep probably then.
Definitely,
yes, and
you're
happy to
most
send.
welcome. And yeah, and we'll try to get more information, more insights on this as well.
Yeah.
So Dr. Simon is always available for us whenever we call him. So definitely we can
Yes.
have some specific sessions also later. The intention of TRIZtalks is that to make people aware about what is going on in Triz world. And it is basically for letting people know what Triz is and how strong this tool is. And
Yes. And it's not just a search tool or get the data. I think the way we are getting the detail in terms of TRIZ, I think that is
right.
making it a more sense how we can connect the thought process or the methodology of TRIZ when we are searching something, and definitely we can reach out to the information. It's not easy for me within a 1 hour to grasp
Yeah, of
everything.
course.
Dr. Simon, you mentioned it really needed time to understand the tool, to understand the methodology. But overall, I found it very powerful and impactful tool in terms of patent search or what's new tech trends going on in different industry or domain.
Yeah,
Very good.
Amit, we
Thank you.
can get along. You know our email ID info@trizasia.com. You can just send a message and we'll have a word. We'll try to explain you what Triz is, what other things are there along with this, and of course about more on this profile as well. Any
Yeah,
other question, comment
yeah,
from participants?
and Amit also, I think TRIZ is actually being created by analysis of patterns. So
Yeah,
the thing we try to do is actually do the same as they have done, but do it live. Because of course, TRIZ had this development time in the 80s, where today, the world has changed into a lot of things which, were not even a word in the time they were developing, like the artificial intelligence. So that is something that you can actually quickly discover live by looking into current patterns rather than the ones from the 80s. The other thing is, I've sent you also in the chat the link on the report, so you're welcome to have a look at it. And through me or through Sandeep, you can also ask for a trial if you want. You can play around with it for 7 days, and you have
yeah,
full access, and then you can see if it's something for you or if you want to go on some more TRIZ training. But definitely, it will reinforce your TRIZ way of thinking, because you can see examples in your field of the thing in a TRIZ methodology, for example. So thank you for your comment, Amit.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. It was a really wonderful session for me.
Thank you.
Any other question, participants? Pranav is also here there from Fleetguard.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you for your comment. And Harshta, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Simon.
So, dear participants, if there are no questions, yeah, is there something, Simon, you
If
would like
ever,
to say?
if ever there's a new session, I think there's a lot of move, as you know, in this world of data analysis because of all the AI. There is another site where I try to put in all the new tools of AI coming across lately. I think today even there was one new one I have discovered, which is size. You guys know that, but in relation to TRIZ, again, it is a very good one to. This is another link I sent to analyze scientific data rather than patterns and finding out what the key concepts are. So the space is moving very, very fast.
Right.
So I hope maybe Sandeep in a few months we can do a new one.
Yeah,
with the
definitely.
new things that come across, because
Yes, yes.
a lot of the things is now to find how much we can automate these steps that we take manually, and not having to write all these patterns anymore, but just say, look, I am looking for, like Harsha was saying, new areas of development or new moves of my competitors. Let me see how the whole research part can be automated. So let's watch that space.
Yes. So you have shared a couple of good websites. I'll also go through them.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Dr. Saiban, for being with us and spending your another one more hour explaining what TRIZ is and how it can be like patents can be searched. Of course, there is a like to add to something like while we are working with TRIZ, we are thinking in a functional level and which makes our search very precise. And further, this software
Exactly.
helps us out to go much faster in this. So these are the advantages of learning TRIZ and more advantages of learning TRIZ softwares as well.
Yes, very
So
good. I also
yeah,
put in the production inspiration one, which is very TRIZ-like function database. This is when before we could use patterns, classifying all the functions. That's also a possibility.
yes, yeah. So with this, we are into the chapter 22 of TRIZtalks, and next month, again last Friday, that is 26th of April, we'll be again meeting, and we'll let you know who would be the next speaker, and then we'll till then stay connected, and feel free to ask any kind of question on info@trizasia.com, or you can directly connect to Mr. Dr. Simon as well.
Yeah, I'll leave my email. Very good.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
have a great day ahead, and good night to all those who have joined at late hours. See you again on 26th April. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Simon.